back. It is day number 3 here with the Underpowered podcast. We're discussing our favorite games of 2022, and this is day number 3, where we rank our number 3 favorite games of the day. I'm Shelby Stokes.
I'm Casey Cole.
I'm Eric Scott.
I am Philip. Just that's it. And
Are we doing a thing?
I'm not going to be like you. We were doing a thing, and then I just said I don't want to do the thing, so now I'm doing only Philip because I have to be different from everyone else.
I started putting my last name on the podcast because of you and Shelby. I was like, oh, you guys have your last names. I gotta make it uniform. Oh man.
Well, the last name would be Karen, so I'll let you edit that together. You can cut out this whole middle section.
Nope, everyone just says wrong.
Yeah, just like totally voiceover. Yeah, I like that.
The whole episode's actually just giving me, hey guys, I'm Phil. That's gonna be my voice from Phil.
That was the worst Phil impression I've ever heard. My voice
exactly. I'm gonna make it the most shrill voice. My game of the year. He's gonna sound like the gingerbread man.
It's gonna get more and more rummy as the time goes on, and I love every moment of it. Yeah, I love every moment of it. Here we are, day 3. We're discussing our third favorite game of the year.
The Trace. The big 3. This
is bronze for anyone that's paying attention at home.
I'll go first on this one. I'll go first on this one. Why don't you, Shelby? Why don't you take a guess as to? I'm going to give you one guess because I only played so many games. So if you don't, what do you? So you probably have a 50-50 shot of what you think.
This is going to be Call of Duty, Modern Warfare,
Fortnite.
Here's the thing: Call of Duty didn't even make the list. Call of Duty's not on the list. I only got it because it came with the PlayStation that Dr. Z so conveniently linked me to, which I finally got. Call of Duty not even on the list. Didn't actually enjoy it that much. It felt like more of the same. Number 3 for me is going to be Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire is number 3 for me. This is a card-based game. I know that we had earlier in the year, we had Evan Tor on, and we were talking to him about his indie game. And he was right. I really like it. Each of the characters plays completely differently. This is a relax. What was Casey saying earlier about Marvel Snap? This could be, if you had a Switch, right? A toilet-based game. If you want it to be, Switch, phone. What I played on PC while drinking some coffee. And it's great. It does honor your time. Each of the runs is completely different. There's so many items that they have, and none of them are overpowered. So many different cards that you can draw. Each of the runs feels completely unique, and you have to play a certain amount of rounds before you can unlock the next character. And like I said, every character plays differently, so there's a ton of replay value there. I still have not slayed the Spire, but that will be on my to-do list for 2023. But it's still that lands me at number 3 for me.
Is there a story in Slay the Spire? Is there like a dialogue, like why you're trying to do it or what's it about? Like
maybe
is there that maybe, but it's just for you.
I mean, maybe. I mean, here's the thing: like for most games that I play, even games with complex stories, like halfway through, I'm like, clear the bad guys, on to the next room. Clear the bad guys, on to the next room. I totally forgot what we're doing here. Like we're like 9 hours in, and I don't even remember why I'm doing this anymore. But we're doing it because it feels like it needs to be done. But no, I don't think that there's a coherent story that has to be like. I'm definitely not emotionally sucked into anything as far as like the card game itself, but the game mechanics really lend and the different path trees and the different were complex decisions, right? Do you want to get cursed where you lose 5 health every turn, but you get this insane relic? And so the balance between risk reward is heavy in that game. And I made one choice where I was like on the 3rd and final tower, and I made a choice. I decided to heal myself up, but then lose all of my major cards, and I ended up like bunking out on the final boss. So for me, that game definitely punishes you if you make mistakes. So that's number 3 for me.
Nice and clean. It's a game that I'm kind of interested in. I think I would enjoy that maybe.
I think so too. Shelby, you said it didn't hit with you.
It didn't hit with me. You know, I think that with card-based games, it's such a delicate dance for me because what I'm looking for is like something that I can get my head around quickly. And there was a lot there, and I probably could give it a better I could give it more time, right? And I think that for me in a game like that, where I would normally play that would be on a Switch or a tablet or a phone. If I'm going to be playing that on an Xbox, which is where I tried to play it, there's prettier, more action-based games that I could be playing if I'm dedicating time through the Xbox to it, if that makes sense. Yeah. So personal preference a little bit there. But in terms of game number 3, how about you, Eric? What's the third most game that you enjoyed in 2022?
Third most game you enjoyed. What is that?
The third most game I enjoyed. Keep talking about it. It was for me. It was Pokemon. It was Pokemon Sword. Was game number 3 for me. I have gone on a bit of a Pokemon renaissance this year. I played Sun and Moon back when it came out in 2018, 2019.
2017.
I played Sun and Moon when it came out, and I enjoyed Sun and Moon. It was a good game, but I kind of just went off the Pokemon.
2016.
60. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I had fallen off the map, and I didn't play Sword and Shield when it first came out, and I finally got around to it this year, and I was just so pleasantly just blown away with how far the game had advanced and how close it really was to being an open world.
Wild area.
Yeah, with the wild area, yet it still had that familiarity of that here, we're going to take you by the hand and we're going to take you on this fun linear Pokemon experience. The characters in the game, I think, are the most memorable characters, the most memorable cast of characters in a Pokemon title that I've ever played.
Wow.
Which and I'm going to say it, they're way better than the Scarlet and Violet characters. Well, that's for you and me to debate another time, Jason. On another show, perhaps. But I thought all the gym leaders were great. I thought the story was cool. The actual potential end of the world. Eternatus. Rosé was not the worst villain, but he was a good villain. I mean, anything when you compare next to Team Yell, you're gonna be a good villain. Let's be honest. But it was just incredibly well polished. I played the DLC. The DLC was excellent. I can't say enough. I thought the starters were great. I think it's a game that flies under the radar. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but for me, it's a game that I don't think gets the credit it deserves. I think after a couple more, maybe a couple more expansions, people are going to look back and say, you know what? Yeah, it was a really good expansion. Sword and Shield was a great expansion, and there's so many great things to love about it. So
yeah,
that's my number 3.
Shelby, you played Sword and Shield, and now granted, we put you on a Nuzlocke because we did some weird stuff. Stop myself. We did some weird stuff in here too, and you're like, I don't like this Nuzlocke thing. This game is okay, but you had some weird experiences with Sword and Shield, right? Or do you think it was bad, or do you find that it was enjoyable for how tight that it was?
I mean, it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable. I mean, some of it was the Nuzlocke run for sure, but I got about 60% through and I was like, well, ruined my Nuzlocke run. I'm just going to roll with it.
And I told you just have fun. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that kind of changed that dynamic. Sword and Shield just... I just wasn't my cup of tea. JRPGs, and I don't have the affinity of the classic 150 or whatever it is, where I'm just like, look, that's a Diglett. Like every once in a while, one will pop by, but then I'm like, what is this guy? Oh, and he's a dragon type. Like, come on.
You look like a building, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I had some issues with like the rock paper scissors of it all because it's been a long time since I played Pokemon. So.
And it's it's like rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. Like there's these layers to it. Okay, Phil, as the bipartisan, because I know you played a Pokemon game. If you were to pick starters for each of us, which element, not the name of the starter, because I don't need you to know the name, what would you say that I picked, that Shelby picked, and Eric picked in Sword? Because we all played Sword. I think Shelby played Shield. Did you play Shield or Sword, Shelby?
I believe I played Sword.
We all played Sword. Okay. Phil, what's your guess?
So I guess my question for you is this, right? So I actually played 2 Pokemon. Well, I mean 2 generations
Mhm.
of Pokemon, okay? Because I played Red, Blue, and Yellow when they originally were out. And then I played, oh man, what was the one set on the Hawaiian island? Is that Sun and Moon?
Oh, Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
Sun and Moon's great.
I hated Sun and Moon. I absolutely
They got
hated
rid
it.
of gyms. They did some
Yeah,
wild stuff there.
Well, look, man. I am an adult and I don't want to pet my Pokemon and I don't want to feed them treats. And I
Oh
don't
man,
care.
that's the
And
best part.
I don't care
Give them a
about
bath. They
I don't-
Snaps. No, he's on to
I don't-
something.
I
Yes.
don't care about hyper strikes and I don't
Go,
care
King.
about
Go.
I don't care about G-force strikes or whatever they are, VMAX, whatever. Like just have tackle, vine whip, and like your attacks and you're
Sure.
trying too hard. Okay, so
Sure.
anyways.
The
So
base
that-
element, grass, fire,
so-
water.
Okay, so the base elements, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because I know you're a
s-
Magic player at heart, right?
so
who's a
I
red
would-
deck? Who's a blue deck? Right? Like who? What are you thinking? We're
I
struggling with?
would pick. Here's what I would pick. I would pick. My only 3 choices are grass, fire, and water.
Yes. Like what did Eric
Okay.
pick? What did Phil
Okay.
pick? What did I pick? Yeah.
I only have one question. Did you all pick something different?
Yeah, I know we did.
You guys
I know
all
we did.
Okay. Oh, you guys all picked something different.
I believe Shelby is questionable, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna guess. Here's what I'm gonna guess.
All 3 elements are present. I believe. Yes.
I am gonna guess that. I'm gonna guess that you, Casey, picked fire. I'm gonna guess that Shelby picked grass, and then that would leave Eric with water.
Okay, you got one right. I think Shelby actually picked the same as Eric. Now I think about it. Shelby, do you remember what you picked?
For sword,
Yeah.
Inteleon. I
Yeah,
was
the
water.
water.
I picked Inteleon.
Yeah.
I picked grass. I picked the monkey. I picked
Actually,
grass.
that tracks.
That's-
That definitely tracks.
See, that's so funny because I was thinking about the original 150, and I was thinking like Casey probably picked the hardest one to start off with. That's the hardest one.
Bulbasaur is my
Shelby
favorite Pokemon,
probably-
man. Number 1 in my heart.
Shelby probably picked the easiest one to deal with the first couple of gyms.
Squirtle.
Right? Because that in the original 150, grass was like when you use
Yeah.
Bulbasaur, you just
Yeah.
like you
Bulbasaur's
flow
the
through
best
those first
starter.
3 gyms like in the beginning, and then water was kind of neutral. Like Squirtle
Yeah.
was kind of neutral in the original
Solid,
3,
yeah.
right? And
Water's
fire
just
was actually
solid.
hard. Because Charmander was really hard in the first couple of
Yeah.
gyms because he had weaknesses,
Wa-
but at the
rock
end
and
game
water,
he was
yeah.
clearly the strongest. Yeah, for sure. So that's too funny.
Squirtle all day, baby.
Bulbasaur.
All about
baby.
Squirtle.
Yeah.
Squirtle. It's all about that Squirtle life. It's all about that Squirtle life.
Squirtle
So
Squad.
So Casey, what was your number 3 game, Squirtle?
my number 3 game also involves a turtle variety, and it's that they're the ninja type, actually. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is my number 3 because it's short and sweet, man. It was the perfect homage to Turtles in Time and taking the baton of the 80s property. Nickelodeon said, here's a book of what you can use to Etsumu Games and Tribute Games who published this. The pixel art is some of the best. Like the waiting motion. The idea of an arcade game, what makes it great is the ability to just go and play and someone's there. You're going to play it with a group. And because of internet access now, you could just start a game and be like, hey, my game's open, and people load in. So you could go through the game when it first started and there'd be 7, 8, 6 people. You could play 6 people at most, not 7 or 8. Thing of Smash. 6 people would come in and help you go through story mode. And you just progress. You unlock characters. They don't just have the turtles, they honor other people in the property. And for someone like me who loves Ninja Turtles, this was just it brought me back to my childhood and loving my kids saying, Dad, can we play Ninja Turtles after dinner? Both of them? Yes. Granted, it's only number 3 though, because it's about 10 hours, right? Like you can really run through it. I think if we all get together and ever do that charity stream, I know we've talked about it for years, this would be the perfect, hey, let's all 4 play this together and beat it, right? With someone, because it's a stream. You could beat it in 5 in a sitting, right? Like it's a streamable game. And the music is chef's kiss, it gets you pumped. And they added elements to other fighting games because it's Tribute.Etsumu game. They did the Streets of 4 remake. And for people that love beat 'em ups, Final Fight and Streets of Rage are like 1A, 1B. And they added juggling to this, and the Ninja Turtle game has juggling. You can do combos. You're competing a bit. You can resurrect a character. It's just so good, so good. And it's on Game Pass.
I'm gonna outright reject the fact that you put this on number 3 on your list. That is absurd. 2 or higher for you because you were so jacked when I first joined on the team for like 4 weeks straight. You were talking about this game coming out. I cannot accept number 3 for you on this one.
Hey. I do love it. I'm a huge Ninja Turtle fan. The thing, it's just so short. I really do hope they make a DLC, and I think they will.
But honestly, like, more of this game is not what it needs.
Yes,
like,
it is. You need more. I want more levels.
No,
I want an infinity mode where we can just battle endlessly and see what happens. Bring in random bosses. Give me more.
It was okay. It was okay.
Me and the Liver King.
I'm with Eric on that one. Like, if we all play this as a co-stream, we're making you be Raphael, Casey. That's just how it goes.
I'm Michelangelo.
No, you're Raphael.
You get Raphael's the worst. You like Donatello, you nerd.
No,
go read some books.
I want Casey Jones. I'll take Casey Jones.
He's
over
solid
Raphael
in this game.
Honestly, if this was what 1990, 1995, go to Blockbuster and rent it for the weekend. That's the type of game it is.
It is, but it's on Game Pass. It has all that access, and it's only $20 for $20 of game. The enjoyment I got from it is great, and the ability to just go and play, and I can bring it to my classroom and see 6 kids play it. I love that because that's like the arcade. I miss arcades. I think the arcade experience is really important, and we get it with online kind of. But seeing people play that game together, so enjoyable, and it's making a new generation of fans for Ninja Turtles, and that's really what's important.
You mean to tell me that you're going to hand your kids that instead of Smash?
Yeah, because they actually have to work together. Smash creates arguments. That's like, hey,
work together. It's a button masher.
Yeah, you got to beat the level. They're so Smash at the heart of it, man.
Well,
hey, I've seen how you play Smash, Eric. Let me be villager. I'm going to make a tree, and that's all I'm going to do.
Yeah, and you know what? I won. Being that villager and that axe and those trees, we did some damage.
I will agree with Casey on this as somebody that has a son myself. Smash was one of the first games I introduced my son to way too early because I ended up introducing him to Smash, and he just biologically was not developed enough to understand the complexity of the controls.
Yeah,
and we actually stopped playing. I stopped letting him play Switch for about 9 months because we played 0 video games because it was such a negative experience. And then when we went back recently, now he's almost 7. So when we went back, we started with different games. About a year ago, we started with, like, to your point, Kirby, Yoshi, games that are more collaborative, games where you can work together. Even Lego Star Wars for him.
The motor skills, he played, man. The motor skills is hard. Like Smash takes like motor skills.
A year makes a world of difference, right? True. Like even Lego Star Wars, the idea of an open world for him was like, what am I supposed to do? And I'm like,
whatever you
can do whatever you want. You can go jump on this ship for an hour of your video game time. So, I mean, I agree with you on that one. That Smash is not a great look.
And
I like how Phil's building up his son's confidence just to crush him in Smash.
Yeah, that's ultimately the goal. But again, my 7-year-old and 4-year-old, this is the first game they could really play together besides like a dancing game, right? Like Just Dance. This is something they could collaboratively do and have fun and play with dad. That's like priceless to me. I like really was like, should it be my number 1? It's just so short. And I just would have liked some more levels. That's all. And I think they could just keep adding content. Like really just go for it. Be like, hey, in 3 months, here, download this for $5. I'm like, okay, here's my money. I'd be happy. And it's a fun looking game. And I have such hard nostalgia because I grew up watching the 80s version of the Turtles and I collect the IDW comics. It's a good representation of the Turtles franchise. So if you love the Turtles and you love Turtles in Time, you will not be sad playing that game. You'll be happy. You'll be like, oh, this is really fun. And that's important. That's why it's my number 3.
That's why it's number 3. Very nice. My number 3 game is a game called Deathloop. Came out in 2021. This game, I got COVID and had to spend a week in a room. And this was the game that got me through.
Best gaming week of my life.
I know, like, so I'm sitting here and I'm like going crazy in this room and I'm playing this game. I'm like, this is such a good game. And I know, like, I'm going to fast forward 24 months from now and look back on that experience as like something euphoric. Like, remember that one time I just sat in a room and played a video game for 5 days straight because I wasn't able to leave and it was so good, like, so it was one of those things where, like, in the moment, I'm just like, I don't know if I should keep playing this, but I really enjoyed this experience. Back up. Let's talk a little bit about Bethesda Studios and the games that they've come out in the past, mainly Dishonored, right? Dishonored has been a
People like
franchise that people have loved and held up critically and that it was great. I've played through those games and I did not like them. And the reason I did not like them is because you would play through them, you would mess something up, and then you'd immediately reload and try to re-stealth your way through it. And then you get caught, and then you'd reload and then re-stealth your way through it. This game changes that dynamic to where it's okay to fail and go loud, because there is something else that you can do with your time after you get caught to where you can find another piece of information that's going to help you move the story forward in some way, shape, or form. And the way that they have set up the game design of Deathloop makes that specific genre a game enjoyable again for me. It was not. I slogged through Dishonored and I did not like it as much as everybody else did. You couple that with Deathloop's style and tone. I already talked about it being my favorite soundtrack. It's got like this 60s, 70s, like fluorescent vibe to it that's really, really cool. And the graphics are top notch. I could talk a little bit more about the game design. There's 4 levels. And these 4 levels, they each have 4 time zones. So you have the morning, the mid-morning, the early afternoon, the late afternoon. And each one of the zones, like, people are moving in and out of the areas and things are changing. And in the morning, maybe you can hop on a boat, but in the afternoon, that boat's already gone, right? So there's different dynamics where you're like, oh, I got to come back here in the morning to do the thing. And the way it all sets up and comes together at the end is a pretty good narrative as well. Deathloop, it's on Game Pass. I can't recommend it enough. I had a really good time with this title.
Interesting. That game looked cool. I didn't ever realize it was a Bethesda title. That blows me away.
Yeah, and it has like very similar feels. Like, I feel I can see you nodding along in terms of Dishonored. Like, it's very like similar in terms of powers and the way you move around the map, but it doesn't punish you as much for not staying stealthy. And that was my biggest struggle in the past.
Yeah, I slept on Dishonored. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I did the opening level, and I was this way even back then with games. Like, if I get through the opening level to my own discredit, right, and I don't like what I'm playing, like, I just stop playing just immediately. Even if I spent money on it, I'm like, I'm not in, like, I'm done. And especially, it's even worse now as I get older, because there's just so much free content to play and so many games where I'm like, I don't have, like, and look, man, I don't have to play it. It's not compelling. The story is not interesting to me. How many dragons am I going to fight? You're telling me that I'm going to have to do this whole level all over again. I actually found that with what I recently been playing, Callisto Protocol. It's like, dude, you don't give me for a game that causes you to die so often, you don't give me enough checkpoints. And like, if I don't save every room I get through, you're going to make me do this whole thing over again. Like, these last 5 rooms, like, no way, dude, I'm done. Like, I'm shutting it off. So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. And then the sort of thing they do here is, like, you're not playing like any one run for more than like 45 minutes. Like, maybe you get into like a really big story scene where it like plays out. But like, say for example, you play the morning and you mess up and then you get into like early afternoon. They don't make you play through the rest of the day. They're just like, no, restart, like, go back to the first morning, and then you can just play your way through. Now, there were some frustrations late game where I needed like one specific thing to see credits, and I had to wait till the nighttime. So then I had to go back and replay some of that. That became a little tedious. But in comparing it to like the games of old with Dishonored, like, this is a huge improvement, and I think they've changed the paradigm in this style of game forever.
Everybody wants to be Majora's Mask. Everybody wants the copy. What's they doing?
Ain't
We're gonna get
nobody
all
want to be
timey-wimey.
Majora's Mask.
No, I get it.
Worst Zelda, by the way, of all time.
Don't say that to Dr. Z. I think he loves that game, right? Anyway,
Dude, he's gone Deku nuts over here. Deku nuts for days.
Zelda.
Phil, what was your third best game this year? Speaking of
Phil's third best game was Slay the Spire.
That's right. His was Slay Spire. Mine was TMNT. Yours was
Deathloop,
Deathloop,
and Eric's
was
was Pokemon Sword and Shield. So
Yeah.
that concludes day 3 almost. We are now going to talk. Well, we're going to hear from our guests. Hey,
yeah.
take it away.
You want me to take it? Yeah, this is a instant
ahead.
classic from the development team, Something Classic, who came on and talked to us about their game coming out next year, Quartet, which was featured on Kotaku as a top indie game coming in 2023. Those guys are awesome. I hope them all to success. They also scared everybody away from doing indie games. You think you're gonna be rich? No. But here's some of the games they love.
How's it going? I'm Tyler Meir. I'm a developer and composer for Something Classic Games. We have released Shadows of Adam, and more recently we have been working on a game called Quartet, which I believe has been featured on the podcast, and you can wishlist on Steam right now if you're a fan of turn-based JRPGs. Now, speaking of turn-based JRPGs, my favorite game of 2022 happens to be the Live Alive remake, and I never played Live Alive back in the day. It never had an English localization, and I never got the translated ROM. So when this game was coming out, I was very interested, specifically because Quartet has a similar non-linear character chapter structure in the beginning of the game, and I wanted to see how Live Alive dealt with it to see if it was similar to Quartet. I enjoyed Live Alive a lot. It was very different. I wouldn't say all chapters were created equal, but I enjoyed it a lot. I thought the music was incredible. I thought the HD 2D art style was really beautiful. The combat system was unique and interesting, and the stories were interesting and fun, and the way it kind of concluded was interesting, if not a little underwhelming, but overall I really enjoyed Live Alive, and I recommend it to everyone. And I'd also recommend you go to Steam and look up Quartet and give us a wish list. Thanks everyone. Have a great end of the year.
Good job. That's from Something Classic. Check them out. Quartet's coming out here in the near future. Go pick it up in 2023.
It's on my to-do list.
Before we wrap on day 3, we want to talk about one more category, and it's I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, this is the dad disappointment, right? Because one, it's video games. We can't really get mad.
Yeah.
And two,
sure.
it's frustrating. Shelby, start us off.
I'll kick this category off. My most disappointing title that I played this year was Disco Elysium Final Cut.
Oh, that was disappointing for you.
That was so disappointing for me. I had heard such wonderful things. People gushed about this game, and now it's coming out. The Final Cut was the one where it's completely voice acted. I'm like, oh, I'll be able to go through and enjoy this wonderful story. And I just did not like it. I couldn't get into it. I was, some of the things that they thought were really interesting in terms of people that I respect in the games industry, they were talking about how like you're going through you have psychological issues and you're not sure what's real and what's not. And like, that's cool. But the thing that broke it for me is that as you made your way around the map, it zapped time from you. So with every conversation you had, every movement you made, it took time out of your day. And that broke me.
Yeah, that's frustrating. I don't like when they're wasting your time in the game. Eric, what was your most disappointing moment of 2022?
This might drift back into 2021, but this one's been sitting with me for a while.
Hey, it's really 2020 part 3 at this point, so I get you. They're out of blend.
Here's the thing. I was promised a great game in Divinity Original Sin. I was promised something that me and friends could sit down and enjoy for hours. And after an hour, maybe an hour.
Hey, you love D&D? This is for you.
Was frustration, was incomprehensible, just battling, like continuously dying. I don't know what that was, but I was promised one of the greatest games of all time. I'm not.
It is one of the greatest games of all time, and I cannot play through it because I cannot stand the combat and constant reloading.
Maybe that's the game we do for a charity stream.
See, I feel like that is a game that a JRPG lover would love because it's like, oh man, I'm dying. I just have to light all the oil on fire, and now they can't attack me. Look at me.
No, I should be able to grind against this and become super swole and be able to beat it with my just attrition.
That's fair. That's
well
fair.
done, Aaron. That is
That's
fair.
fair. Yeah,
Can I piggyback
well
on
done.
that? Phil,
Sure.
what was yours most disappointing?
Oh, my most disappointing. Let's see. You know what it's going to be? Since I didn't play a ton of different games this year, it's going to be Mario Strikers. I really love a good sports like Nintendo game. I know that we've mentioned on the podcast Mega Man Soccer in the past. This game, just for whatever reason, Nintendo just doesn't give you enough characters. They don't give you enough levels. They don't whenever they do some sort of spin-off game, whether it's a sports game or a racing game or some, they always that's not true of Mario Kart. Mario Kart actually has a really beefy roster, but you had like 8 characters. And here's the thing, when you are putting out a new game, right? You have like that window where everyone's pumped about it to like sustain their attention, to like lock them in for a while to play the game, right? Like there's that window of opportunity these days where it's like, oh, this game's coming out. And this will be true of like anything. It'll be true of Diablo 4 when it comes out. Any game nowadays, there's this window. And it's like, you got to sustain everybody for like a month. And if you can't get them sustained for a month with your content, especially if it's a multiplayer game, you're done. Like you're done. They're never going to look at it again. It's not like it was 15 years ago where there are 3 releases and everybody's like, well, that was our game for the summer and we're going to go back to wait till November for whatever the November release is. It's like there's 300 games that come out in a year now and between different developers. So they just didn't have enough initial content. Honestly, I played it when I first started with you guys. I did a couple streams of Mario Strikers. I like it. I thought it was fun, but I haven't touched it since then. I mean, since we talked, I haven't played it.
Should have been. I think
That's
you
it
and I
for me.
agreed. It should have been a free-to-play game, and they added content to it because like the elements were there, like the armor, the build out, and then my thing was like, just make this free-to-play, and everybody will play this game. And
I think that you're actually that was your initial assessment of the game, and I think that you're actually spot on, which is that they charged you a full price game, and they only have 4 maps. Right? They only have 4 levels and they only had like 6 or 7 characters to start. And then really what happens is whenever you have a competitive game, people figure out what the meta is and they figure out you use these 3 characters and then you beef them up this way. And this is your build. And this is the only build that you can use to win. And then that's it. Then you figured it out. Yep. With this armor.
I mean,
and if you use anybody else, you're not going to win.
Yeah, I mean, they totally could have made it free to play, but they still like charge people to play online, so that probably wouldn't have worked.
I mean, what game service doesn't charge to play
salty
online?
about
Do you think you're playing your Xbox free online? Hold on, time out. Just so you know, your little Microsoft machine, you're paying for that online.
Somebody get this guy a $5 check, man.
I know.
Somebody get this guy a refund.
Wait, what's your Starbucks order,
still
guy?
Salty.
Hey, I need you to go get checked for an aneurysm with all that salt over there. Bro, chill.
The worst coffee is still a better investment
I have
than
a
Nintendo
pickle
Online.
if you need more. Yeah,
Hey,
if
here
need a
you
little
go,
more
guys.
salt,
We're
I
going to
have a
give you a
pickle.
free copy of 007 GoldenEye, released 35
Zelda
years
2,
ago. Enjoy. We
Zelda.
love our customers.
I'd rather pay $5 for that. Yeah. Or you can just pay $20 for the year. That's what you can normally pay. It's $20 for the year. Hold on. Where you get $5 a month? Time out. 20 divided by 12 is not 5. This guy is lying. I can't believe I just put this together. It's $20 for a year of Nintendo Online.
Fake news.
Tell me
Fake
20
news.
divided by 12.
Or you pay
It's 1.5
a month.
No, it's like, what are you talking about?
Listen, I'm just afraid the Donkey Kong's going to come to my house and break my knees if I don't pay my way. You know what I mean?
Bro, you're trying to tell me $20 for the year, 20 divided by 12. That's $1.66, guy.
Actually,
you got to help.
Actually, because we're in the most disappointing category, I'm going to change my answer from Disco Elysium to Nintendo Online.
No, all right, fine.
You got to help fund the new movie, all right? We need you to pay the $5. We got to help fund the new movie.
So, Casey, your most disappointing experience, of course, beyond being a longtime subscriber of Nintendo
that makes
Online,
me happy.
would be
dealing with you and your salt. That's one of them. But number 2 is actually not really number 1. G4. Mine is not a gaming related, and it goes back to G4 launching and failing, flying too close to the sun. Everyone was kind of excited, and then the question was, how is this going to exist in 2022? And they lasted a year, and the layoffs were ugly. The Fallout was ugly. Like the completionist who was doing stuff on XPlay, I love him. I love Adam Sessler. There's person Black Okoge. I love Xavier Creed from WWE, and they missed. They spent all this money on something that they didn't really plan out. They're like, hey, we're gonna do this, this, and this. They use all these buzzy things, and it wasn't turning out because Twitch exists now. Gaming TV, like you see it in games media. Games media, a bunch of people got fired earlier in the summer or in August. Granted, because games writer are trying to unionize, and oddly enough, that's when all the firing happened. Weird, but G4 is just an example of, hey, big media in gaming and paying people to do their gaming. I think people are moving more to individual models. It sucks. G4 was like an important part of me for high school. Going home, I'm gonna go home, watch XPlay after like practice, or coming home, do my homework and watch XPlay and chill out on a rough day in high school. So I wanted G4 to succeed. Our close friend Sean Poole worked at G4. He worked on Attack of the Show. I'm a huge fan of it, and that just in a span of a year. Rough, disappointed, not mad, just sad, didn't work out. Danny Pena, too, from Gamertag Radio, Podcast Hall of Fame, awesome dude, and they had him on there.
Yeah, Kevin Pereira, like when that whole thing folded up the first time, I was like, oh, I'll follow him on his podcast, and I did for a while. Like he's an ace, but
he is.
It's all good. Well, cool. That concludes day 3 of our favorite games of 2022. We're gonna say goodbye for now, but hello very soon for day 4 and 5, which are on the horizon.
For number 2 and number 1, play your games. Come check in.
See ya.